Hi, everyone. My name is John Gallagher. I'm an employment researcher, and I'm really honored to be joined by two alumni of the Halton Catholic District School Board who are now working in the skilled trades. Joining me is India Snoy, class of 2014, who is now a licensed electrician, as well as Mihail Shalaman, class of 2016, who's a second-year elevator mechanic in apprentice. Thank you, Mihail and India, for being here. India, let me start with you. Tell everyone, what does an electrician do?
Thank you so much, John. In the simplest form, an electrician supplies power. So that could either be to a business or a homeowner. And then within that scope, we can either run our wires through a conduit. So we're installing that conduit, either that, or we're pulling them either in a cable tray or an underground conduit. So even our day-to-day workplace can be inside, it can be outside, it can be inside of a factory, can be inside of a home. It really just depends on the scope of the company that you work for.
Terrific. I like the variety. Sounds like a lot of that.
It is.
And Mihail, how about an elevator mechanic? Without you, I know people would be taking the stairs more often than they'd like to, but it's more than that, right?
Definitely. It's definitely more than just that. It's not only are we getting you to where you need to get faster, we're also giving you that convenience of not taking 100 flight of stairs, but also we're making sure that you're getting there in a safe, fashionable time because our trade is very, very safety oriented because you're transporting people daily and constantly. So you do want to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Definitely. Looking forward to talking more about this. India, how did you get interested in becoming an electrician, and what's been the biggest personal benefit?
So for myself, it was actually my brother who was interested in becoming an electrician first. He went on to become a plumber, but just in going to those OYAP info nights and figuring out that, my first thought was to become a vet. That didn't really, after investigation, that wasn't going to be the fit for me. I thought back to those info nights in those OYAP programs and thought, you know what, I could give this a go. So I called up the OYAP teacher and said, hey, can I do this? And he said, 100% you can. So I just tried it on a whim, really. I loved it. I knew that an office setting wasn't going to be for me. So this just really worked out. And for what I find super fulfilling, it's, you know what, I can see what I do every day. I can turn on a light after I've installed it and see that satisfaction of, hey, that has power now. And I can, just get that satisfaction at the end of the day, which is really exciting.
I love that, seeing the results of your work immediately.
Mhm.
Mihail, how about you? How did you discover, elevator mechanic, that trade, and how has that been fulfilling for you so far?
So I discovered it as my father. He's a licensed elevator mechanic. So I tried to get in out of high school into the union, but it was very tricky because it is a very competitive and tight trade to get into. So it took a couple tries, but once I got in through the intake and I passed the aptitude test, I was able to start and get into it. And the thing that really drew me towards it, was probably that I get to work with my hands a lot. And I also get to work both with electrical and mechanical. So I get to learn a lot of new things that make me think outside of the box. And every time a new challenge comes, it makes you think, just opens your broadening of the way you think, because there's so many different ways that you could possibly finish the task at hand.
Right, really applying problem-solving skills.
Yes,
India,
definitely.
you mentioned India, OYAP's Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. Can you say a little more about why you decided to enroll in it and what the program was like overall for you?
Absolutely. So I decided to enroll in it because I remember sitting in those info nights and the teacher that was leading that, spoke to, how you can make money in the trades, how you can have job security, how, people are getting older in the workforce and those people are not getting replaced to the same level that they're retiring. So I knew that there was a demand. I knew you could make money out of all the trades. I figured just from my own research, electrical was the cleanest. Now, sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. And so, you know what? Like I said, I just called him up and said, hey, I'm not 100% sure that I can do this, but, from your experience, do you think that I can? And he said, 100%. I have, men come to my class that are the same size or smaller than you, and they're just fine. So it was $250 at the time. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And if it works out, great. If not, then hey, at least I know one more thing that maybe is not going to be for me, but it's just as valuable to know what you don't want to do as it is to know what you are going to do. So
very well said.
Thank you. And to the second part of your question, how I found the program, I loved it. I thought that it was so cool to have that hands-on exposure and to see, like I say, something done with your hands become an end result. And like I say, have a light come on or have a stove function and just get to see that light flicker, right? Or whatever it is. So, or a home owner move in for the first time and get to enjoy their home and the warmth of it. And it's like, hey, I helped to be a part of that. So that's really cool.
I love it. I love this idea of you acknowledging that if you needed to try it out, right? And it cost a little bit, really not that much looking back. And for you, it worked out. The point of that program is to try out a skilled trade. Mihail, you are among many students who, in high school considered going to university, but you decided to pursue skilled trades as well. So what attracted you to apprenticeship training instead of university?
So I actually went to Brock for 1 year. And while I was there, I realized this isn't the career path that I want to pursue anymore. This isn't really like fulfilling to me. So after that, I went first into other trade. Actually, before I got into the elevators, I went to drywall framing. And from there, I was able to learn stuff, which I still have that knowledge to have on the side, which is nice. But then getting into the elevators, I realized it's essentially a recession-proof trade because no matter what, people are going to need to get to where they need to be. And if something happens, you'll have to be able to save someone if someone gets trapped. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But it has great money and it's great benefits for it as well. And the hours are a little earlier, but you got to end a little earlier as well. So you almost beat the traffic. So you get more of a day to enjoy and you almost feel like you have more time in your life to do the things you love.
That's interesting. There definitely feels like there's a shortage of elevator mechanics. It feels like there's a shortage anyways, but I don't think many people knew that it was a early rising, but also early dismissal type of job.
Yeah, our typical hours go from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
And it varies on depending on the job and where it is.
Right on. So what does it take India to be really good as an electrician? What does it take to be really good at that job?
I think a natural curiosity really would help you to become a really good electrician because with electricity, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't feel it. Well, at least you don't want to most of the time. So, you need to have that curiosity of like, how does this function? How does this work? How do we make this? Maybe if it's not functioning, how do we get this to function the way that it should? What's the missing piece or the malfunctioning piece? And so just in that, I think having, like I say, that curiosity really makes you excel because, asking questions, that's how you learn. That's how you become better. That's how you grow. So, yeah.
Right. Great answer. Curiosity, Mihail. How about you? Does that apply to being an elevator mechanic? What's the most, important quality to be really good at that job?
I'd say the most important quality would have to be detail oriented because a lot of stuff can be going down to the millimeter and you want to make sure you're very precise in what you're doing, because if you're off in something, it could cause problems down the road or potentially cause harm to someone, which you do not want. This is why we have codes that we abide by, so it has to be for certain things to the millimeter. But curiosity also definitely helps, because it helps you think outside of the box and think of different ways to do it, or what's a safer way that you can complete what you're doing, where you can make sure nobody is in the line of getting hurt or putting yourself at danger. It's just a lot of common sense as well.
I like that, and it probably applies to many other skilled trades too. Common sense,
Absolutely.
detail orientation, and of course, having a curiosity. I asked you both to bring something just to show everyone sort of a tool that you can't, do without on your job, maybe something you use very frequently. India, can we start with you? What do you have to show everyone, and can you say a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I'll kind of bring this up to the camera. So this is my multimeter. It reads up to 1,000 volts, and this is essentially my life-saving device. So anytime I need to work on a circuit or test something, this is the tool that I'm pulling out to make sure that it either is de-energized, or if it's energized, I need to know that so that I can de-energize it. Yeah, essentially, like I say, just life-saving device, probably the most important tool that we have. And if you're thinking of becoming an electrician, make sure that you invest in a good meter, because your life is worth more than what this meter costs. And yeah.
And what does it cost?
This meter in particular is about $500 to $600.
Okay. So, sophisticated technology comes at a price, right? Well worth it. Mihail, what do you have? Maybe something that's not $500 or $600.
So I brought something. It looks like it's nothing much, nothing special, but it's a multi-bit screwdriver. And this is almost always in my pocket on any job, because it can come to the help in a second. Whether you need to work with a Robbie or a Phillips or a flathead or even a terminal driver for doing adjustments on a controller, this thing comes in handy no matter where you are.
Have you ever forgot it?
No.
Very good. It's that important. You never forget it ever.
It's always in the pocket, first thing out of the car.
Terrific. All right, thanks a lot. Let's get into some myths and misconceptions. People have, understanding about skilled trades that may not be accurate. I'm curious to learn from both of your experiences. Are there any myths that you'd like to correct? Mihail, I'll start with you.
Myth, I know I was told a lot about the trades as I was even in high school. It was that a lot of stuff is easy and it doesn't take a lot of knowledge, versus that it actually does take a lot of knowledge, because you have to be able to do certain things in certain ways. And some things might be repetitive, but some things also, they put your life at risk. So you have to know how to do things in a safe, efficient manner to also protect you and everyone around you. And for us, we also work with electricity. So when we work on our stuff, we have to make sure we de-energize, because we're dealing with high voltage. And if someone sticks their fingers where they shouldn't be, it could be potentially life-threatening. So it takes a lot of brain power, essentially, and a lot of training to make sure you do your job safely.
Definitely. Great answer. Do you know how to use a multimeter as well, Mihail?
Yes, we use those every day as well, when we're working with the power.
Got it. And India, how about you? Any myths that you'd like to correct in terms of being an electrician or in the skilled trades generally?
Absolutely. Well, first point, being a female in the trades, I want to kill that myth that, women can't do the job or anything along that line. Because you know what? I'm a woman. I work in the trades every day, and you can do it. Anyone can do it. I definitely would say that in that, though, you do build up resiliency building up in the trade or working in the trades, because sometimes you do have some harsh people at times, but overall, you know what? Just keep showing up every day. do your work to the best of your ability and it will speak for itself. And the other myth that I would like to bust, so to say, is that, sometimes, an electrician is a cleaner trade, but sometimes it's not. One of the places I was working for many years was a sewage plant. So you could imagine how that would not be probably the most clean environments. And, obviously a biohazard there as well. So yeah, it really just depends on your workplace. I still, like I say, love the trade, regardless of whether it's a crappy job or not. And yeah.
See what you did there, India. Very good. Thanks for that. Can you also both speak to a little bit about any challenges that you felt you needed to overcome at any stage in your apprenticeship journey? Let's go to Mihail. Any challenges you've had to overcome?
So a really big challenge that I've overcome a couple times was with COVID. It had a lot of supply chain shortages and a lot of problems in that. So unfortunately, I was laid off a couple times, and for sometimes it was quite a while. So that was a really tough thing to deal with. But at the same time, overcoming that, I was able to use that time to help family and friends with side work, some from stuff that I've learned in the past. So whether I was helping a family friend work on their bathroom or in their kitchen. And I was also able to use that time to work on myself and further develop my hobbies and enjoy the time, because we don't know how much time we have, so we have to make the best of it.
Great. COVID-19 throwback there, Mihail. India, how about yourself? Any challenges in you're beyond an apprentice now. You're a full-on licensed electrician.
Absolutely. I think, what we face challenges every single day, whether that's a piece of equipment that's broken down, or you're troubleshooting something because it's not working correctly, whatever that may be. So I think it's just building up that resiliency to deal with those challenges every day is something that you develop over time. And like I said, just keep showing up, keep doing your job to the best of your ability, and keep learning. I would say, as a female in trades, if I'm going to speak to that, yeah, there are some challenges. Like I said, sometimes you do meet some tough people that don't think that you're there, or think that you got to where you are because you're a female and you get preferential treatment. That stuff can still happen. However, like I said, in my opinion, the best way to prove those people otherwise is to do your job just like everybody else, and your work will speak for itself. And you know what? At every single site, you will have somebody, at least one person, if not many, who support you being there, will build you up and encourage you, and find those people and stick with them. So,
India, you're such an inspiration, especially to young women. Can you say a little bit more about what the future lies for you and any other young women who decide to pursue an apprenticeship, an electrician pathway? What can they expect in terms of future opportunities?
So there's any opportunity in trades. We are not replacing those positions fast enough. But specifically for electrical, I can speak to my own journey. And, when I started out as an apprentice, I was an apprentice for the 309A construction and maintenance electrician license. I completed that apprenticeship, which was 5 years or 9,000 hours, and wrote that exam, got that certificate. And then to continually grow and challenge myself, I just recently, in March of this year, challenged my 442A industrial electrician license. So now I'm a dual licensed electrician. And at some point in the future, I will challenge or go for the course and write my master's electrician's license. So then that will be a, triple licensed electrician. So the field is so broad. You can get into anything from Cat 6 terminations, which is like a security camera, or internet type connections, to high voltage. So you're dealing with, thousands of volts, and they have their own special terminations and code rules for that. You can get into fire alarms. So, now you're saving people's lives. That's really cool. PLC type stuff or robotics, which is more in industry. Honestly, the field is so broad. It's really whatever you make of it. And as far as gender goes, it really doesn't matter. It's whatever you're willing to invest in yourself or challenge yourself to do. And no matter what you decide, you will be compensated for the investment that you make in yourself.
And that's great, India. I mean, just as you're talking, I'm just visualizing this vast field of different kinds of opportunities. That's excellent. Mihail, how about you in your second year as an elevator mechanic apprentice? What lies ahead? What future opportunities can you expect? And anyone else who wants to go into your field?
So this field, it touches basically on quite a bit of different transportation devices. It's not just elevators. We also deal with both the escalators and moving walks at busy airports or the shopping malls. And something not so common anymore, but we also deal with the dumbwaiters and as well as freight elevators. So those get really heavy and really big. But down the road, there's a lot of opportunity, whether it's in new construction, because our population keeps on growing and we need more and more housing. And there's going to just be an abundance of skyscrapers going up, and all of those are going to need elevators to work on. And it also goes to the maintenance and service side to touch all the elevators and escalators around Canada or the world that have to be make sure they're taken care of and that are working condition to make sure everybody's being transported and taken care of in a safe and efficient manner. And then there's even modifications, because there's some elevating devices that are over 100 years old. And we want to make sure those are up to date on their safety standards to make sure it's up to code, that nobody's going to get hurt, because a long time ago, everything's changed since then. So now everything has to be brought up to date on safety standards.
That's great, Mihail. Sounds like you both, of course, have job security and skills security. Final question to both of you. India, I'll start with you. What's your advice for students who are interested in the skilled trades, but maybe their parents aren't as supportive? What would you say to those students to encourage them?
So for myself, I would say this to any person, whether it be a student or, another individual just thinking about the trades. I would say try it, because you know what? It's just as important to know what you do want to do. As for parents, I would say just to have a bit of an open mind. You know what? The trades, not only can your child make really good money and actually afford, a house, which in today's day can be a far stretch for some people. It's a reality in the trades. A huge sense of job security. You're never going to not need a skilled trades. Who doesn't need hydro? And in fact, our world is actually going towards electricity. So, talk about job security and demand for that. The other thing is, you know what? If that's something that they want to try, just like I say, be open-minded about it. Let them go for it. And what's the harm in it? The end result, worst case scenario, is maybe it's not for them, but they have learned a skill that nobody can take away from them and that they can carry for the rest of their life.
Wow, excellent advice. No pressure, Mihail. Can you talk that? What's your advice for students who are interested, but their parents maybe are unsure? Final word to you.
I would say to anybody, if they have even the slightest interest in the trades, to pursue it. Because same thing as India said, it's if you do it, you try it out, and you see that it's not for you, you've learned a skill now that you can use in the future, whether it's you find your way back to it, or you just have something that you can say, hey, I learned how to do this, and you have that in essentially your backpack. And something I would say is to pursue what you're passionate about, because you want to be able to look forward going to work every day and not something that you're going to dread. Because if it's something that you're going to dread every day, it's going to be a really hard life to continue pursuing that every day. It's not going to be easy, versus you do something you love. It almost doesn't feel like a job. It's more your career. You enjoy getting to do it. It makes you feel happy. It gives you a good sense of self-worth, being able to provide, whether it's electricity or heating someone's home, or even getting someone a running bath, or bringing someone up in an elevator.
Beautifully put. What a way to end it. I love this conversation. Thank you so much, India, Mihail, on behalf of the Halton Catholic District School Board, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and Judy Bridges, OYAP recruiter. Thank you very much for spending some time with me and sharing your experiences and inspiring the future generation of young people and maybe some future skilled tradespeople in your region. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.